Jenny's dreams of being a writer and comedian. She's been a probation officer in Austin for 19 years, and in her free time, you can find her dropping her son off at basketball, making a coffee run with her daughter, or listening to Taylor Swift on one of her daily walks. I'm just saying, please give Jenny all your love.
When I was a kid, the highlight of every single summer was going to Schlitterbahn. I loved Schlitterbahn. They had this like weird AstroTurf that was soggy that I'd like love to run around barefoot on. I would like eat unlimited Dippin' Dots and find the perfect lawn chair. And I even liked taking the shuttle buses from one park to the next. I loved everything about it. And the summer that I turned 12, my parents let us know that they had rented a cabin inside of the park and that we would be going there for 3 days and 2 nights. It was like I hit the Schlitterbahn jackpot. So the big day gets there and we get to the park and we check into our cabin, and oh my God, the cabin is right on the lazy river. It is absolutely perfect. I am there with my mom and my dad and my big brother. All of them are my heroes. My dad worked in the restaurant business, so he worked nights and weekends. And so it was just really special for the 4 of us to be able to come together and spend time together. So we get to the cabin and we throw our stuff down and we change into our swimsuits and we hit the park. And before we can even get on our first ride, a storm blows through and the temperature drops. It gets really cold out. It starts raining and it starts like lightning and thunder. So they have to shut the park down, which I think is ridiculous. I tried explaining, look, I'm 12. Chris is 14. We're all adults here. I think I can make my own decisions about electricity and water. Thank you very much. That did not work, and we were sent back to our cabin where I sulked for about an hour until they opened the park back up. So the park opens back up, but it was still it stayed cold all day long, and it stayed overcast, and it was kind of rainy, so like the weather just sucked. So when they opened the park back up, my dad asked, he goes, okay, who's ready? Me, I am ready, let's go. And we look over at my mom and my brother, and they're like, no thanks, we're good. I'm sure Chris had like Fritos and, Sprite on tap, so he was totally fine. My mom was probably just really happy to like have it be quiet for a second. So they stayed behind at the cabin. So that left me and my dad. And, if going there was hitting the Schlitterbahn jackpot, this was like the ultra, triple, super jackpot, because not only am I at my favorite place in the world, but I'm with my dad. I get this one-on-one time with my dad, which was just so rare and special. So we hit the park and we hit it hard. We did absolutely everything. Every ride that I wanted to do, we did. Every ride he wanted to do, we did. As many times as we wanted, because the park stayed totally empty and it was fully staffed. It was like we owned the place. It was amazing. So we spent the whole day just having a great time. There was like an unlimited Dippin' Dots budget that day. So we decided that our last ride of the day was going to be the lazy river by the cabin. So as the sun was setting, we know we have enough time for one more ride. We get on the lazy river, and my dad would always do this thing where he would, when he wanted my hand, he would kind of swat the air, or like swat my hand. And I knew that meant he wanted my hand. So we're floating down the lazy river. He swats for my hand. I give him my hand. The sun is setting. We go by the cabin. We wave to Mom and Chris. And it was the perfect end to the perfect happy day. I felt so seen by my dad. I felt so loved. I could not have been happier. Flash forward to 2019, and I'm back with my mom and my dad and my brother, but this time we're in a hospital room. And the surgeon who has just performed surgery on my dad comes out and lets us know that his cancer is too far spread. There's nothing, unfortunately, that they can do, and that at most he's got a couple of months left to live. And, this was one of those middle of the night nightmare scenarios that's actually happening, and I'm just trying to wrap my mind around this in this hospital room. And my dad sees me, he swats the air. I know what that means. So I come over to the hospital room, or pardon me, to the hospital bed, and I give him my hand. And he looks at me and he says, "This sucks." I said, "Yes, this sucks." And he goes, "Let me ask you a question." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, as terrible as this is, and as much as this sucks, would you trade all of the happy memories that we've had, all of the great times, the conversations, the hanging out, our whole life together, would you trade that for this, if this wasn't happening?" And I didn't know at the time. I didn't know how to respond to that. I don't think that I did respond. It's been 6 years and 10 days since my dad died, and in that time, I have come to understand that I do know the answer to that question, because I think that the answer to that question lies in my day at Schlitterbahn. Because just like I would not have traded, I had to deal with the cold to get that special day. I had to deal with the crappy weather in the cold to have that special day. To have my dad, now I had to deal with this grief, with this profound grief. I came to understand that these things were just two sides of the same coin. And that coin is the price of admission that we pay. And I would pay it every single time. Thank you.
Jenny wants to thank her family and friends for their love and support for this class and really her entire life. Also, if you do get in trouble and need a probation officer, right? This is probably the right way to go here. Our next story